What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Debates with Nav on the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Pranav Sriraman. As always, make sure to go follow me on Instagram at SportsWorldDebates. And if you have any thoughts, comments, concerns about any one of my takes, make sure to go tweet me at SWDTweets1. So today, we are going to go over my NBA awards predictions and picks. And basically, the NBA announced yesterday that the criteria is only going to be based on play that stopped on March 11th, meaning that the final 8 games of the regular season will not count towards these awards. So that basically allows us to put these picks in, per se. Now, we're going to get right into the video, so without further ado, let's get into the first award. So the awards, I'm going to start off with the awards which I think aren't particularly debatable, and we're going to start off with Rookie of the Year. I think Ja Morant is going to run away with Rookie of the Year, and here's why. No other rookie other than Zion Williamson has played to Ja Morant's level this season. Ja Morant is leading rookies in assists with 7. He's scoring at a great rate at 18 points per game. He's doing it on great efficiency at 52.3 effective field goal percentage. Everything Ja Morant has done has been great. He's been a positive impact on the court for the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been overachieving, and that's mainly due to Ja Morant's exceptional play. He's leading them to a playoff seed right now. He's leading them to the 8th and final playoff seed as of this moment. And no one expected Memphis to be that good, but Ja Morant has taken them there with his leadership. And although Zion Williamson is the best rookie in my opinion, his lack of a sample size with 19 games played, that's not enough for me to put him over Ja Morant, who's played about 60 games this season. That's clearly not enough for me. So I think Ja Morant is going to run away with this award pretty easily. I don't think there's much debate there. So moving on, we're going to get to the 6th man of the year. Now, some of you might debate this a little bit more, but to me, it is between Oklahoma City Thunder backup point guard Dennis Schroeder and Los Angeles Clippers power forward Montrezl Harrell. And I'm going to give this award to Dennis Schroeder, and here's why. No one expected the Oklahoma City Thunder to be as good as they are this season. They were expected to be a lottery pick, and although the Clippers were supposed to be a title contender, and they still are, but the Clippers' production and seeding right now, that was expected. No one expected the Oklahoma City Thunder to be right where they are right now, which is the 5th seed, and a lot of that has to do with Chris Paul and Dennis Schroeder and the culture they've built, and Dennis Schroeder is the leader of that bench. With him on the court, their net rating improves by plus 9.3, and he's averaging a great around 20 points per game this season on great efficiency, 53.2 effective field goal percentage. He's been a great catalyst to what the Oklahoma City Thunder have built this season, and Montrezl Harrell has been playing great, don't get me wrong, but I think Dennis Schroeder, with his ability to score off the bench, make plays, his impact on the game, compared to Montrezl Harrell, who is playing great for the Clippers. He's been a bright spot in kind of a shaky season for the Clippers. For their standards, he's been a very good player, but he's not. I don't think he's necessarily playing at the same level Dennis Schroeder is, and is having the same impact on the game as Dennis Schroeder is. And I think Dennis Schroeder should pretty easily win this award, but some people out there think that it's more of a debate than it actually is. So I wanted to address that real quick. That Dennis Schroeder should win the 6th man of the year over Montrezl Harrell. So moving on to the more debatable awards, we'll get to Coach of the Year. So to me and many others, I think Nick Nurse is the Coach of the Year, but one can argue that Oklahoma City Thunder coach Billy Donovan also has a great case. But to me, Nick Nurse, the Raptors seeding combined with the fact that they've found so much success without Kawhi Leonard, Nick Nurse's system has a lot to do with that. He's proven that it wasn't just a fluke, it wasn't just a result of Kawhi Leonard carrying the Raptors. No, they're legit. He's carrying them to the 2nd best record in the East behind the best team in the NBA record-wise in the Milwaukee Bucks. And his system, his championship pedigree, which helped them last season, is proving to pay off this season. And I think Nick Nurse should win the Coach of the Year. I wouldn't be too upset if Billy Donovan won it, because he also has a great case. He has that same Dennis Schroeder type case where the Oklahoma City Thunder are exceeding expectations and are stunning everyone right now. He has that same type of case for the Coach of the Year, and a lot of that has to do with the system, but I think Nick Nurse is finding more success this season, so without Kawhi Leonard, his superstar, and I will give the award to Nick Nurse if I was voting. Moving on, we're going to get to the most improved player. This is where the real debates actually start, because now people are going to have somewhat of a dialogue to go off of. To me, the most improved player is Miami Heat center Bam Adebayo. And I know what you're thinking. What about Brandon Ingram, Luka Doncic? Well, let me address Luka Doncic first. Luka Doncic has improved drastically this season, but his improvement is expected, and he hasn't improved on the same level as either Brandon Ingram or Bam Adebayo. But I'm going to start off with why I have Bam Adebayo winning this award over Brandon Ingram. I know many others in the community have Brandon Ingram winning this award, but the reason I have Bam over Ingram for most improved player is because, to me, he simply improved more. He had more of a scoring leap than Brandon Ingram. His rebounding and assist totals improved better than Brandon Ingram's and is higher than Brandon Ingram's. And one could argue that BI's efficiency improved despite having more attempts, which is tremendous, and that helps his case. But I believe Bam Adebayo has improved his game in more areas and more drastically than Ingram has, and he has had a larger impact on his team's success, especially on defense. Bam Adebayo has a defensive player impact measurement. His player impact on defense is a 2.05, while Brandon Ingram's defensive player impact is a minus 0.62. We call the stat PIPM, player impact plus minus, which allows us to focus on one player's defensive impact. And as you could just see, I said Bam has a player impact of 2.05 on the defensive end, while Brandon Ingram has a defensive impact of minus 0.62. Offensively, Brandon Ingram has a slight edge, I'll give you that, but when you look at their total PIPM, Bam's is plus 2.09 greater than Brandon Ingram's. So Bam has also seen a greater jump in his impact from previous years than Ingram. So when you take all of that into consideration, the scoring leap he took, the assist leap he took, the rebounding leap he took, I think you have to give Bam this award. And Ingram's efficiency, that's phenomenal. But when you look at the total picture, I think Bam has checked more boxes for me. And one will argue for Brandon Ingram that, for Bam Adebayo against Bam Adebayo that, he's having more opportunity because he's in the starting lineup now with Hassan Whiteside traded to Portland. But you have to realize Brandon Ingram has that same newfound opportunity. He got traded from LA, found a role where he could be the prominent main leading scorer, and he filled that role perfectly. And that's mainly because he got more opportunity in New Orleans as a main scorer than he did in LA alongside LeBron James. So that argument doesn't really make sense to benefit Ingram because it goes both ways. You can't really say, Bam is only successful because he's been giving more opportunity, while Ingram has had that same opportunity being given to him. So the next debate we're going to get to is Defensive Player of the Year. Now, many people are going back and forth on this. I was kind of back and forth on this as well. But I'm going to give the Defensive Player of the Year to Giannis Antetokounmpo over Anthony Davis, and here's why. This is a much closer race than MVP is to me, which we'll get to later on, but both Giannis and Anthony Davis have been tremendous. Tremendous on the defensive end this season, and both have had significant impacts on their team, but Giannis is anchoring the best defense in all of basketball. And I know that statement doesn't really mean much right now, but let me get deeper into it. One might say, that's because he's surrounded by great defenders. Well, yes and no. He is surrounded by great defenders, but that's not the reason why Giannis is anchoring the best defense in all of basketball by a wide margin. With Giannis off the court, the Bucks' defensive rating is still the best in the NBA, but only by a margin of negative 0.7 over the Raptors. However, when you put Giannis on the court, that margin drops by almost 9 points, which would make that's under 100 points, by the way. It would be around 96.9, but that would make the Bucks defense significantly better than everyone else in the league. The margin from the ranked number 2 team in defense and ranked number 26 team in terms of team defensive rating would be larger than the margin between the first team and the second team when Giannis is on the court. Giannis also has the best defensive player impact plus minus in the league as well. The defensive player impact, meaning that he has the best defensive impact, as stated before, while playing less minutes than Anthony Davis this season. And yes, both of them are going to make first team all defense, but to me, when you consider all of that in, there's not really anything which I could really say that benefits Anthony Davis besides his impact, but Giannis has had a greater impact. Voter fatigue might kick in because Giannis won the MVP last year. He was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation last year. He's in the MVP conversation this year, and he's in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation this year. So the voter fatigue might kick in because they don't want to give Giannis too many awards, and Anthony Davis might end up robbing Giannis of the award. But to me, when you factor in everything, I'm just like, how can you not give this award to Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because he's had a greater impact on his team's defense, which is already the best in the league without him, but they get significantly better with him on the court compared to Anthony Davis. It just doesn't make It doesn't make a lot of sense to give this award to Anthony Davis. He does have great points, but Giannis trumps all those points. The main, the steals per game, the blocks per game is not a great way to measure defense because those are so subjective. You could look at Hassan Whiteside, who's not even in the conversation, but he leads the NBA in blocks or something. I might be wrong on that, but I know he's one of the league leaders in blocks. That does not mean he's a great defender. Steals per game and blocks per game does not show defense. The impact shows how valuable of a defender you are, and to me, that impact clearly shows that Giannis is proving that he's more impactful on his team's defense than Anthony Davis is. So Giannis should win the award, but I would not be surprised if they give it to Anthony Davis just because of the voter fatigue. Now the final award, and that is the most valuable player of the NBA. And LeBron James had a chance. He had a chance, had the last 8 games of the season counted towards his race. But right now, after the new rule kicked in that it's only going to be, the criteria will stop at March 11th, it's not really debatable at all. It's not debatable at all. Giannis will obviously run away with the MVP. He's having a better statistical season than LeBron James, averaging more points, more rebounds, shooting on better efficiency, and having a higher net impact. LeBron does beat him in assist totals and assists per game, but that's only one category, and Giannis makes up for that by having a greater impact on his team, having a better record than LeBron James, and doing it all with the supporting star in Chris Middleton, who is a great supporting star, and he's very underrated, as some people in my company and who I've talked to and people around the community are kind of very underrating him, and I'll get to that on a later date. But Chris Middleton is a very underrated supporting star, but he's nowhere on the same level as Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a top 5 talent in my opinion, and he's a top 7 player in the NBA. Chris Middleton is not on that level. And keep in mind, Giannis plays less minutes, like I mentioned before. He plays about 30 minutes per game. That's significantly less than LeBron James, and he's averaging better stats, and he's leading his team to a better record. When you factor that all in, I just don't think LeBron James has a very good case for MVP, and I don't think he's going to win it. I think it was a great story and all. His comeback season, Wash King, all of his narratives are great, but when you actually go into it, leave the feelings aside, it's not really, you don't really have a great case for LeBron James winning this MVP. But that'll conclude this episode of Debates with Nav. I'm out for now, y'all. Catch y'all next week. Peace.